Good afternoon, Ravens fans, and welcome to another conference preview. I'm Aaron Schneider, the Sports Information Director at Anderson University, and joining us for a preview of the conference baseball tournament is head coach Matt Bair. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
Okay, well, first to kick things off, and we go, looking back at our season, it was kind of a slower start than we would have liked, but when it's all said and done, we came out with hit the 20 win mark again, actually at 23, and made it to the conference tournament even as a 5 seed.
Yes, excuse my rasp in my voice, but it's there. It's been a bit of a tale of two teams for us this season. Early on in our non-conference play, we hit a few slides that we had to battle through and to work through, and we maneuvered some pieces around and continued to get to work in some areas of the game where we felt like we really had to improve to be at our best for conference play, and we're able to do that and really strung a nice run of wins together. But then conference play started, and we opened up the season 2-6, and since I've been here, we have not, through the first 10 games or really ever through the conference season that I can recall, have had a losing record. And so we were facing some pretty big challenges there, because with the parity in this conference and with as good as the teams are, we really have a tough road ahead of us to ultimately find our way into the top 5 and to make the conference tournament. But credit to these guys. We weathered a lot of storms, and we were able to make some adjustments in our rotation, and we were able to practice through some areas where I feel like we definitely needed to improve. And on the pitching side, on the defensive side, and on the offensive side, I really just felt like we matured, at the midway point of the conference season, and then obviously at the end. And, to be able to win 10 of your last 14 in this conference and sweep several really tough teams on the road, knowing that the pressure is on you to get into the conference tournament, I couldn't be more proud of the coaching staff, and I couldn't be more proud of these players. And, I just feel like they really matured and did the things that they needed to do to find the success out on that field in some really opportunistic times.
Okay, and then to kind of follow up on your response there, what were some of the biggest things you could point to that are like they really took a step forward in this? This is why they're the 10-4 team, not the 2-6 team.
A lot of it, I think, just has to do with in-game composure. And, I feel like early on, and some of this may have been created, from the coaching staff, there was just a real intensity in the dugout, which you want. But at the same time, baseball has to be played on a very parallel emotional track, and there can't be a lot of ups and downs within the 9-inning games emotionally, because there's going to be some statistical up and downs that you just know are going to happen. And I feel like we cleaned up some things off the field mentally, and we cleaned up some things on the field mentally that really just kind of helped us stay even keel in the pressure of what this game and the adversity that can be dealt to you at times. And I genuinely believe that this team just feels they're never out of a baseball game. And so, we moved some pieces of the puzzle around to help us, what we felt like, put our best foot forward within our conference games, both in the lineup and in the pitching rotation. But at the same time, we didn't lose belief in anybody. We just felt like the chess pieces needed to be in a little different place strategically to help us, and that worked in our favor. But most of all, I just feel like we really matured on the field within the game as far as our composure and how we weathered the adversity, both from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint during games.
Okay, and one thing I personally noticed is covering throughout the year is that we our team this year offensively has just been on another level. Not necessarily because one player has had just had over the line production. It's been more of a on any given day. If I get the results back, get the box score back, and just see this this guy went off. There's about almost the entire lineup. If I see that there's a player and that just went off, it's just not a surprise because you've just had that many different contributors helping step up on offense.
Yeah, there's been a real consistency to our offense this year. I thought because we did start out pretty hot, you would only assume in this game at times offensively that things would slow down and water would find its level, but I've just really been impressed with what our level is, and it's really raised my belief and expectation of who we can be as an offensive team. Not that I didn't think that we were great, but when you look at some of the numbers that we're putting up offensively, we're not just a power hitting team, but we're also an average hitting team, meaning statistically an average.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're really tough outs at the plate. And usually one or two of those things have to give a little bit in order for you to receive the other, right? If I'm going to be a high power team, a lot of times you get a lot of strikeouts to come along with that. And we just haven't had that. We've just been really tough at the plate. We've found barrel consistently throughout the season. I don't feel like we've gotten away from who we are and our approaches at the plate, and it's led to some tremendous offensive numbers for us and just a really consistent season from that perspective. It's been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked about this the past couple of conference tournament previews where we've just the level of parity in the conference and how and as much parity as there's been even the past previous years, this year maybe going to the 22 game format has something to do with it where there is almost an even bigger sign of it than there was last year. We see the defending tournament champion Earlham, who they're good enough to take a game from regular season champion Franklin and still showing their ability, but they're not even in it this year, even with the tournament expanding from 5 to 6 teams. And we see a team like Hanover who going down the stretch, they're taking a game from a really talented Bluffton team, and they're not in it. We're like 8 deep in the conference as far as the amount of talent there is.
Yeah, there is extreme parity in this conference. Since I took the team over in 2017, in those 6 years, there have only been 2 teams in the top 5 every single year and make the tournament, us and Franklin. Mm-hmm. And we're fortunate to be one of those teams. So that just tells you how difficult it is to be in the top 5 of this conference. And there's a lot of great teams, there's a lot of great coaches, there's a lot of great players out there. And I don't expect this tournament to be any different. Just my opinion, I think this conference tournament in some respects is harder to win than a regional. And if you look at the success of the HCAC teams that come out of our tournament and the success that they've had in the regional, having not been the team first to exit, having been the team to win those regionals, not only is there parity in this tournament, but we all know a lot about the other team. Mm-hmm. And when you get to those regionals, some of that understanding of who that other team is goes away. And so that's why I say with the parity that's here, with the understanding of the teams and how they play and the structure of the lineups and those kinds of things, I really do believe this conference tournament in many ways is harder to win than even a regional. And again, just fortunate and excited to be here, especially considering our start. But I believe with all my heart that we deserve it, and these guys have earned their way into this tournament, and I'm excited for them.
Okay, so of course, your baseball and your softball, they exhibit the double elimination format that most sports don't. Well, we open against Rose Holman, but I do want you to, kind of run through what sticks out as far as the in the tournament field and what to look for from a competition standpoint.
Oh goodness. The bottom line is you simply in game one need to do everything you can to not find yourself in the loser's bracket. Because if you find yourself in the loser's bracket in game one, I'm not sure there's a team in this conference that could honestly say they have all the pitching they need to run through the rest of that schedule. It would be a gauntlet of games. And so, you really just need to focus in on a game at a time and an inning at a time, and do everything you can to win the game that's in front of you, because the loser's bracket, albeit you're not out of it until you're out of it, really presents some significant challenges on your pitching staff if you find yourself in that situation. Other than that, obviously Franklin has put up some tremendous offensive numbers as well. Bluffton has three fifth-year seniors on the mound as their 1, 2, 3 starters. So, there's a lot of experience there. Those kids have been to tournaments. Their age and wisdom on the field gives them, some edges and advantages. Transylvania is I think one of the scariest teams in the tournament, because offensively they can put up some big numbers, but I think they got some great depth to their pitching staff. Manchester's playing as good of baseball. I know they lost to Rose coming into the tournament, but they're playing as good of baseball as anybody. I think they've got some really unique arms on the mound, and their first, the top and middle portion of their lineup can hit with just about anybody. And then lastly, you've got Rose, who has some great starting pitching and just a lot of balance in their lineup. And they're always a dangerous team. And so, where do we fit in that mix? I think we're playing as good of baseball as anybody, Aaron. And I think our offense can compete with anybody in this country. And I think our pitching staff on any given day can create a lot of problems for matchups. And so I'm excited for what we can do in the tournament, but I know, like I said, there's going to be a lot of parity out there, and you're going to have to get some luck to go your way. You can't just be good. We want to be good, but at the same time, we're going to need some breaks. And, Anderson University's been notorious for coming out of losers brackets, both in conference play and in regional play, to make World Series runs. And that's not where we want to be, but with the team that we have this year, it will have to be the 27th out of the game in our last game before you can get me to believe we're out of it, because I think we're in it at all times.
All right, and then finally, what will we need to do to be successful in the conference tournament?
Just execute. When I say execute, I know that's a pretty broad stroke, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to pitch it well, and we're going to have to find ways to miss barrels with the arsenal of pitches that we have out there. We're going to have to limit free bases. And, on the offensive side, we're going to have to do what we've done all year, which is just be extremely tough outs in the box and consistently put the ball in play with authority, and give ourselves a chance in that ninth inning to be able to close out a game. And so, ultimately, again, we're just going to have to execute, limit free bases, control the things that we can control, and never allow the emotional swings of the game to put us in a mental situation that hinders our performance. And so as long as we can stay strong mentally out there and do what we're capable of doing, I think we have as good of a chance as anybody in this tournament to win it.
All right, well, I think I've covered the questions I wanted to. Ravens fans, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow along with any more previews, any more content we may be putting out on YouTube. Of course, follow along with your Ravens baseball team as they compete in the conference tournament. That is at Kokomo Municipal Stadium in Kokomo. We will have live stats and live video coverage. It will actually be broadcasted by Indiana SRN. So if you're not going to be making the trip to Kokomo, be sure to check them out and check as our Ravens are competing throughout this weekend. We begin Thursday. Remind me your initial start time.
1:15 game.
Okay.
We're game 2 of the day at 1:15 p.m.
Okay, so we begin Thursday at 1:15 p.m. The conference tournament runs through Friday, Saturday, and maybe even Sunday. Coach Bair, thank you for joining us, and good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. I hope you can come out and watch us.